They say that on the eve of battle, when frost hangs low over the heather, and ravens circle in silent arcs above the field, a figure may be seen watching from the ridge. Her cloak dark as a storm cloud, her eyes the color of moonlit ice, her spear held not to strike, but to choose. Some say she is a warrior made of steel and fire. Others whisper she is a spirit of death, a servant of Odin sent to gather the fallen. But who were the Valkyries truly? What world believed in them so fiercely that even now their shadow lingers? What power did they hold over the living and the dead? And why did the Norse warriors welcome their gaze, even in terror? For myths are not born from nothing. They rise from the people who first believed. What kind of gods are born in a land where winter can kill as easily as war? Before the churches and the kingdoms, before the sagas were written down, there were the Northlands, a landscape of deep fjords, long winters and narrow summers. A place where the sea could swallow a man, where storms came without warning, where you lived and died by the strength of your clan and the courage of your heart. Life was uncertain, death was close, and so the Norse imagined a world where every breath mattered and every life carried weight beyond the grave. They believed that honor was stronger than death, that the spirit could endure through courage, that the way a person died shaped their eternity, and above all, they believed that fate was not in human hands. There were weavers of destiny, there were messengers of the gods, there were beings who walked the line between life and death, and among them were the Valkyries. So who first looked at death on the battlefield and believed it had a purpose? The word Valkyrie comes from the Old Norse Valkyria, chooser of the slain. Not heroes, not saints, not angels in shining light, but those who chose who would fall in battle. To the Norse, a battle was not chaos, it was a ritual, a test of courage, a glimpse into the great plan woven by the Norns, the weavers of destiny. And the Valkyrie was the one who revealed that destiny. She did not choose who deserved to live, she chose who was meant to die. And with that choice, she determined the greatest honor of all, who would be taken to Valhalla. So what awaited a warrior beyond their final breath? To understand the Valkyrie, we must understand Valhalla. Not heaven, not paradise, but the Hall of the Slain, the home of warriors who died with sword in hand, a vast hall of shields and spears, where the fallen heroes trained each day to prepare for Ragnarok, the final battle at the end of the world. But Valhalla was not the only afterlife. Another hall, Fólkvangr, ruled by the goddess Freya, claimed half of the honored dead. Her fields were quiet, peaceful, a place of rest. The Valkyries were the ones who divided the fallen. To Valhalla, the warriors who would fight again. To Fólkvangr, the warriors who would find peace. They were guides, messengers, judges of the fallen. Their touch was not always violent. Some sagas describe Valkyries as soft-voiced, gold-braided, carrying mead to the warriors in Valhalla. But others describe them soaked in blood, eyes burning like embers, faces pale as a winter moon. Her wings were not the white of heavenly angels, but the black of ravens, the color of prophecy. For they were not symbols of glory, they were the face of destiny. If you've stayed with the story this long, you've seen how far these myths can pull us into their world. Their stories continue in the Myth and Magic playlist. The rest of the journey is there. So what does it mean to choose who lives and who is remembered? The Valkyries' power was choice, not strength of arms, not spells of fire or frost, but the absolute certainty of fate. Some stories say they appeared as swans, their feather cloaks shimmering in the moonlight. To steal such a cloak was to bind a Valkyrie to mortal form. Other tales claim they rode horses whose hooves sparked lightning. But in every version, their true form is the same. A being whose gaze knows your final hour. Not cruel, not kind, only inevitable. So what did the living claim to have seen in the moments before death? Sailors told of a woman standing alone on a cliff as storms broke behind her. And the next voyage, half the crew was lost. Warriors spoke of a maiden who walked the battlefield before the swords were drawn. Those she stared at did not survive the day. And in one of the old sagas, it is said that a Valkyrie appeared to a farmer before the harvest, her voice low and calm. "Prepare your burial mound. Your sons will inherit your fields." He died 3 nights later, not in battle, not in violence, but because his hour had come. The Valkyrie does not kill, she reveals. So how do you stand before the inevitable without breaking? Did the Norse believe they could resist fate? Not truly, but they believed they could meet fate with honor. There were no charms to ward off a Valkyrie, no salt, no runes, no prayers. What mattered was how you faced your final breath. To die with courage meant being remembered. To die in fear meant being forgotten. So warriors carved runes into their shields. They sang their own deeds before battle. They sharpened their axes as if each stroke declared, "If I fall, let it be worthy. If I am chosen, let me stand tall." The only defense was honor. So what becomes of a being born from how we understand death itself? The Valkyrie did not fade when the old gods fell. She changed. In medieval tales, she became a noble maiden warrior. In romantic poetry, a symbol of purity and fate. In modern stories, she wears armor and wings, a hero in shining light. But the oldest truth is harder, sharper, more human. She is not a savior. She is not a conqueror. She is not a villain. She is the moment of understanding when a person realizes their time has come. She is the quiet step between breath and silence. The calm acceptance in the eyes of the dying. The unseen presence in every farewell. The Valkyrie was never about battle. She was about legacy. The Valkyrie herself was never real, but the fear that birthed her, the fear of being forgotten, that part has always been true. A life is not measured by how long it lasts, but by how brightly it is remembered when the Valkyrie finally calls your name. This was Chronica Arcana, the myth of the Valkyrie. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps us bring more myths and legends to life. And if you'd like to continue your journey, the Myth and Magic playlist awaits. Thank you for watching, we'll see you in the next myth.